What I'm going to teach you today will give you the opportunity to have people show up instead of no show. Your reminder process will be seamless, and people will thank you for these reminders, and you will not be annoying people in the slightest. Hey there, Jonathan from Go Reminders here, and I wanted to talk about how often to remind people about things, especially when it comes to appointments and appointment reminders. So, if you have trouble with no-shows, people not showing up for appointments and meetings, whether they're virtual or in person, you have perhaps tried sending reminders and they're not working, and you don't want to annoy people, so you're worried about sending more than one reminder. These are problems that are very common with businesses, especially appointment-based businesses, and what I'm going to teach you today will give you the opportunity to have people show up instead of no show. Your reminder process will be seamless, and people will thank you for these reminders, and you will not be annoying people in the slightest. I have talked with many of our users at Go Reminders and all sorts of businesses, and often they, it doesn't work 100% immediately, and they're curious because they're sending a reminder to people and they've tried a couple different wordings and they've changed some settings. It's still not working, and one of the things I recommend trying at that point is multiple reminders. And for those people who are stuck at that, it is a game changer, because hitting people with the right info at the right time is can completely change your no-show rate, and convert those people into calling ahead, so that they're not going to come, and you can fill those slots. It's all about filling your calendar, keeping it filled. If someone cancels, having enough time to be able to fill that slot, whether it's with another client, another prospect, another customer, or just some productive work that you can plan ahead for, so that you're not only finding out at the last minute, oh man, okay, it's 15 minutes in, I guess they're not showing up. Anything to avoid that. And so the framework that I use for figuring out how many reminders to send to people is, first of all, I think, what would I want? What would make sense to me if I were in this situation? If I were my own customer, if I were the lead that I'm following up with, what would I want? If I'm a patient of my own practice, what would I want in terms of how many reminders? And so that's number one. Second thing is, you might be super organized, so you need to think in terms of what would your most forgetful friend want. And so we all know people who we're very close with. We love them. They're great people, but they're not organized, and they're no-showing, and everything's all over the place. So you got to think about, even if you might not even need any reminders, what about the people who do need reminders? When would they want reminders, and how many would they want? And the last step is really just to talk to your clients, talk to your patients, talk to your customers, and ask them what would be helpful. If you have a prospect, what would be helpful? When would you like me to remind you? I'm working on this system to try to help you as much as possible. So if you talk to people, you might get some feedback and think, oh, I never thought, 2 weeks before would be helpful, or an hour before. I thought people would need 4 hours before at least, but what I'm hearing is people just want it to be the most recent text message, or right near the top, so they can, tap into it and click the Zoom link, or go to a Maps link for directions. And so often there's this myth around appointment reminder messages that people think it's annoying, and I don't want to annoy people. And if I send people appointment reminder messages, too many of them at the wrong times, they'll be annoyed. It's very unlikely that if these are people who have appointments scheduled with you, have meetings scheduled with you, you're either going to them, they're coming to you, you're meeting at a house if you're a realtor, you're doing a Zoom. These are people who schedule this appointment with you. And so you're not going to annoy them if you do it tactfully, and if you keep in mind, what would I want? what would other people want who I've talked to about this. It's going to be helpful for them, and they are going to be thanking you and impressed by the professionalism of you doing this. And so, if you're dealing with no-shows, you've tried reminders, it didn't work, it takes too much time, you don't want to annoy people, if you follow these steps that I've laid out here, you will have people showing up instead of no-showing. Your reminder process will be seamless instead of, sort of here and there, and you're not sure what's working, and people will be thanking you, and they will be happy to show up. And so, with all this, I just want to go through the framework one more time. It's thinking, what would you want? What would other people want? And really just talking to your customers and clients, and you'll be, on your way to getting people to show up. So subscribe to our channel, and we'll, if you want other similar tips about business, getting people to show up, scheduling, how to save time and increase revenue. And also there's a link below for our free guide, which has 4 other critical, simple steps to setting up your reminder workflow to cut out no-shows and get people to show up for appointments. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.